Welcome to the Headliner, all the news that rocks. I'm your host, Kyle Chrise. Join the discussion on Twitter. Tweet me at Kyle Chrise, KYLECHRISE. Our lead story this week is Black Sabbath taking over the album chart. Their new album, 13, is the number one album in America. Their first number one after 43 years in the business. Can you believe their closest to number one is 1971's Master of Reality, which hit number 8? Rock is not dead, everybody. This week, Sabbath was number one. Last week, Queens of the Stone Age, Megadeth was a top 10. Keep supporting your favorite and your local rock bands. Speaking of Sabbath, Ozzy is actually the subject of this week's nostalgia trip. This week, the Prince of Darkness said he was in such a booze and drug-fueled haze through the 90s that he can't remember the entire decade. First off, I'm pretty sure Ozzy can't remember the last 2 days, let alone the last 20 years. Second, how do I get what he was taking, right? That sounds like some good stuff. But can you imagine all the 90s memories being erased from your head? No skids? No skid shorts? No skid jeans? No ska revival? Get it up, get it up, get it up. She has a girlfriend now. Get it up, get it up. That was the last time white guys looked cool dancing. Most importantly, Ozzy missed out on one of the greatest rock songs of all time if he missed the entire 90s. Who wants to be with you? Deep inside, I hope you feel it too. Hey, why'd you kill the music? Oh, you're so anal about those music rights. Gosh. Mr. Big, Be With You, the greatest song of the 90s. A lesson to everyone to stay off drugs, or you could forget one of the best songs ever made. Ozzy had to learn that the hard way. What? Of course that's a 90s song. Mr. Big's Lean Into You came out in the March of 91. Oh, that's ridiculous. This guy's trying to say that Mr. Big song is really more of an 80s song, but it's not. 91, March of 91. But he did do a pretty 80s version of it. Check out Paul Gilbert playing it solo with this Van Halen mashup. Maybe he needs to stick the original there, Paul, okay? Back to the point. There's probably a lot of people out there who are having trouble remembering the 90s, just like Ozzy. So I'm going to fill you in on everything that happened in the 90s in 60 seconds or less. It's the speed round. All right, ready? Go. Travolta ate a Royale with cheese. Newman was eaten by a dinosaur. Pesci was funny like a clown. The Titanic sunk. Clarissa explained it all. Carlton danced. Urkel snorted. The San Jose Sharks hot on starter jackets. Woodstock 99 raped and pillaged. Kurt Cobain died. Sonic the Hedgehog was born. Will Smith's voice changed. Beck was a loser. Michael Jordan was a winner. Silk shirts were cool. Alicia Silverstone was clueless. A Mac laptop killed all the aliens. Star Wars disappointed. Super soakers were water guns. Iraq got bombed. Clinton got blown. I did it, 30 seconds, nice. Speaking of the 90s, let's move on to concert news, where the number one question is, how much would you pay to see Filter play their one hit? Just because no promoter outside of the U.S. will book these guys, it's not going to keep Filter from launching their next world tour. They just need their fans to finance it. They've launched an Indiegogo campaign to get them on the road. They won $40,000, and they've already got about $6,000. So some of the perks include a signed CD for a $20 donation, or a coffee date with Richard Turner for $250, plus an extra $20 for his Starbucks order. This is my favorite. For $1,000, you can actually create the band's set list. So I'm going to give this a shot, all right? Let's see. My ultimate Filter set list would start with their biggest hit. I'm going to blow them right out of the doors off the gate. Hey, man, nice shot. After that, I'm going to go with Well, actually, I don't know any other Filter songs. This is awkward. Let's move on to technology. Your second favorite member of Simon and Garfunkel is not a fan of cell phones. He was performing a concert that he called an intimate rehearsal. And it must have really been intimate because when he saw a guy in the front row check his cell phone, Art stormed off stage. It took 10 minutes for him to come back, and not before the guy apologized. That's what I call the sound of silence. Waka waka. Actually, this is what Art's office had to say. Art Garfunkel's music sounds better without a buzzing cell phone. I don't know about that. Has Art ever heard of Skrillex? Let's move on to investment news. Several locks of Mick Jagger's hair are hitting the auction block. This isn't the Bridges to Babylon era hair or even Steel Wheels. Hell, this isn't even Some Girls era hair. This goes all the way back to the Brian Jones era, the mid-'60s. Back then, Mick took a shower at his girlfriend's grandma's house. Granny sneaked back and grabbed some of the hair from the drain. Now, before you cringe too hard, the hair is going to fetch between $2,000 and $3,000 at auction. And just think about what you can do with it. I mean, hell, you could create Jagger clones a la Jurassic Park. Just imagine that boy band. 5 Jaggers. You could plant some of the DNA at a crime scene to get you off the hook. Maybe you could even give your He-Man Donald Trump hairdo. We've got a special guest joining us on the phone now, Brian Posehn. His new album, The Fartist, comes out on DVD and CD June 25th. Brian, what's up?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Good, good. Hey, before we get started, quick, have you heard that new Sabbath album yet?
I love the new Sabbath. Yeah, I went out. I actually like to go to record stores still. I don't know if people remember those. Place where you actually purchase music, and there's a surly person behind the counter rolling their eyes at whatever you buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, those. So I went Tuesday afternoon when it came out.
It sounds exactly like you want Sabbath to sound like.
It does, man. It still feels modern, and it's well produced and all that. But yeah, I mean, especially the fact that one of the songs ends with, the stuff that their first song, Black Sabbath, starts with. And, you hear those bells in the background, and it's kind of that rain, and like you feel like you're in a creepy graveyard in London.
Exactly.
It really has that kind of throwback feel to it, but good.
Yeah, great. Number one album this week. I think that's just great. How
cool
much
for them? Yeah. There's a lot of politics about. A lot of metal nerds were mad that it's not all four. That Bill Ward's not involved, but I don't know. I mean, they made a heavy record, and for a bunch of 60-year-old guys to make something that sticks out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The new album, The Fartist, deals a lot about parenthood. How much rock do you play in the house?
A fair amount. I mean, I don't get really crazy heavy with my kid. Like, he hasn't heard any Malevolent Creation or any of the really heavy stuff I like, and I keep Cannibal Corpse art away from him. But, he's getting a foundation, and that's real important for me. I mean, I started off with, like, Kiss and Black Sabbath and Judas Priest, and then, like, I grew up in, like, kind of, in my opinion, the best generation if you love heavy metal or hard rock. I mean, to be around when bands like Motley Crue and Metallica were starting, and I was one of those guys that was into both of those.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of, getting my kid into all the stuff I love. Right now, he loves Black Sabbath to me, and he likes Ronnie Dio and Ozzy kind of equally.
Nothing that's been on, and the wife is like, "Hey, what? Turn that off." No Sabbath.
No, my wife is really cool, and my wife loves heavy metal, and she wasn't a metalhead, but she always dated metalheads, and then she wound up marrying one. But she, there's not a lot that I listen to. There's been a couple of bands over the years when it's just the two of us where she's like, "Do you really like this?" It's like so ridiculous. Where some of the Cookie Monster stuff, or some of the like metalcore where it's just breakdown after breakdown, and then screaming, and she's just like, "Is this even music anymore?" And it's like, yeah, sort of.
So
but being mean.
So this is your third album, but the first DVD, is that right?
Yeah, well, it's the first hour special I've ever done. My last 2 CDs, I did Comedy Central half hours around that time. So some of the material had been on those half hours, but this is the first time where I did an hour-long special that then turned into a CD. We did it through Netflix first, so it's been available on Netflix for a couple of months, and people have really liked it. I've gotten great feedback, and now it's available to purchase, or will be.
Do you feel that will help the success of the CD and DVD, the fact that it has been out there already for a little bit?
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's some people online that say, well, yeah, I already heard it, but, if you're a real fan, you want to hear it again. And for me, Netflix just seemed like a cool place to roll it out. Hey, buddy. It's just I follow Netflix. A lot of comedians are doing it now. Friends like Bill Burr and other guys were, rolling it. What's great about it is it gets it out uncensored. A lot of my specials before have been, pretty cut up. When you do something for Comedy Central, there's a lot of meetings that have to take place of, you can't say that, with Netflix, there's none of that, so.
Now, are you the type of comic that is going to retire that hour then? That seems kind of over.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's already happening. I recorded it a while ago, so I've already been writing new material and then kind of, burying those bits, getting rid of those bits that were on that album.
That seems overwhelming.
Right now, it's
is that
kind of half and half. It's, stuff from that album and then brand new stuff.
So is that overwhelming to, start over? It's almost like...
No, it can be, but I like it. Especially now I feel like I'm getting better at it and I'm more prolific. I think the downtime between records will start to be less and less. I'm never going to get to where Louis C.K. is doing a special a year.
Yeah.
That means he's coming up with an hour every 9 months or so, which... I can't even understand how people do that, and, like bands do that when they have like a really prolific part of their career where every album, they do an album a year for a while and then they get older and they have less to sing about and, it becomes less and less. But for me, it's been kind of getting faster.
But you stay busy too. I mean, you're also writing the Deadpool comic book, right? So how do you balance that kind of workload?
Yeah, man. I mean, I've got a lot of, I've got Deadpool. I just wrote a book with Bob Odenkirk and David Cross that's coming out in the spring or in the fall. About Mr. Show and I mean, I always stay busy. I do movies and act and do all this other stuff. It's tough, but stand up is kind of separate. My mind is always kind of thinking of stand-up jokes no matter where I am, so I'm always writing.
Do you have to set aside time of the day? Are you like every Monday morning it's Deadpool and then
Not really. It's not that regiment, and a lot of stand-up material to me, most of the best stuff I've ever thought of just comes from just my mind just going and not sitting down and going, I'm going to write a fart joke. Things just happen. And especially now, my act has become way more storytelling, which can be hard because then at a certain point you're looking to your family and your friends going, "Hey, do something funny," so I can craft 10 minutes out of it.
Anything that's have gotten weird looks? Like anyone say, "I can't believe you brought up that in the act this time," or?
No, I mean I get a little bit of. So far, it's mostly been. It's really only been a few women online that have gone, like, really? You're going to do 20 minutes on farts? And it's like, well, it's 20 strong minutes on farts and 20 really funny minutes on farts. And, if you don't like it, go head out into the lobby for 20 minutes. I don't know what to tell you,
What about social
But
media?
I purposely stay away from certain things that other comics use, I've never really been a political or a religious guy on stage. I feel like those are two things that are really hard to talk about without dividing your room. And especially metalheads, we're not all liberals, There's a lot of right-wing metalheads, and and I don't want to lose them because I support Obama or whatever. You know, so I don't talk about that stuff.
What about the social media? I know you're big on Twitter. Anything else like Vine or Instagram?
I just got Vine, and I'm going to experiment more with it because I think it's really a fun challenge to like be funny in 6 seconds or be weird in 6 seconds. You know.
Exactly. Brian, thanks for stopping by. The album, The Fartist, June 25th, DVD and CD. Also, Deadpool, pretty much monthly schedule, right?
Yeah, and say hi to Nikki, man. I'm one of those guys. I've still got the first album on Leather Records.
Oh, you have the Leather Records one. Wow.
I have the vinyl Leather Record still. Yeah. I'd really love to get him to sign it at one point because I was, they broke in California, but I was a California kid, and I was very proud to have this LA band come out and be, as kick-ass as they were.
Well, we got to get you down here in the studio. We'll make that happen.
Cool, man.
All right, Brian, thanks for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, take care. Let's head to the final stretch. Bad guy of the week, Les Moonves, the CBS CEO, pulled in $60.3 million last year. That's the biggest CEO salary in America. And his way of saying thanks is probably more episodes of 2.5 Men. Sad to see you go, ESPN 3D. The channel's being pulled and may spell an end to the entire 3D genre on the small screen. And I still haven't gotten a shot to see Skinamax in 3D. Still waiting to see you go. Tim Tebow, he's back, this time with the Patriots. He's been a dud ever since he beat Pittsburgh in the playoffs 2 years ago. The real reason why is because Jesus is a Steeler fan, duh. Comic book pull list, Superior Spider-Man, number 12. Spidey is trapped in a super villain prison, and the only way out might be to kill the guy causing it all. That's it for this edition of The Headliner, the third week of June 2013. Send your hate mail to Kyle Chrise at Twitter. Until next week, I'll catch you on the flip side.